Hello, and welcome to Chapter 12 called Perspectives on Environmental Policy. And we've got a lovely picture here of a bird, a very, very nice picture of a bird, and I think there's some frost. And the question is, how do we protect that bird, and how does government seek to protect that bird? Your author, as usual, has a very, very nicely written introduction, and he talks about the pigs escaping from his grandfather's farm while his parents held the wedding reception in the farmhouse. There was no question among the revelers that the wayward swine posed a problem, but as they slogged through the rain and mud, the men in tuxedos had differing perspectives on how best to remedy the situation. Some pushed pigs, some pulled, some prodded them with sticks. Others pronounced that the pigs would return to the pen if left alone. So with a combination of these approaches, the pigs were eventually placed under control. And here is the intro to this chapter. Environmental policy is much the same. There's broad agreement that environmental losses are a problem, but whether it is best to push decision makers with command and control policies, pull them with incentives, or prod them with the sticks of litigation and punishment is another issue. And there are definitely some, that feel that if left alone, the market will attain efficiency on its own. So this chapter is going to talk a bit about the different policies and categorize those policies. And so these policies will be incentive-based policies that will say, okay, polluter, go ahead and pollute, but you're going to pay a price for this action. Command and control, where a target is set and a path to the target will be set. And then there'll be some discussion of litigation and what litigation looks like to achieve the target of the environment, whatever that target is reached. All right. Okay, so here's a little bit more specific. So command and control regulations. They typically require certain behaviors or forbid others. And there are three types of standards. There are ambient standards, and so these designate targets for pollution concentration at specified locations of measurements. The EPA has established national ambient air quality standards for 6 criteria air pollutants. So this is for the air around us. So it looks at measuring it at a certain location. A technology standard stipulates the use of particular methods or types of pollution control equipment. I think this example might be the use of coal scrubbers, coal fire plants, in order to designate that you are using this method, and that will achieve the environmental standard that we wish. Another example is an emission standard, and this requires firms to reduce emissions by a designated percentage or to a set amount. And he gives an example here of the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, that permit program authorized by the Clean Water Act. And it regulates point sources of pollution such as industrial or municipal discharge waste. All right, so this is command and control. Now, incentive-based solutions. Now, here is a slide about a congestion charging zone. And this is a market approach to auto externalities. That's one, congestion or peak load pricing. Tradable emissions set a target, pay beyond the target. And a carbon tax. That's not discussed in this chapter, although I will discuss it because it falls under this category of incentive-based solution. And with a carbon tax, you just set a price. If you emit, you pay the tax. Whoops, let's go back. Oh, damn. Okay, I'll talk a little bit about con, congestion pricing, which is what you see here on the slide. So congestion pricing or peak load pricing, what's happening here is you and your car enter into a certain zone at a particular time, and then you are charged a certain amount of money for the privilege of being at this particular location. And this is to reduce congestion of cars and also the consequent pollution that the cars create. And and this is done at peak lows, so this will be done at times when there are more cars in the particular area. Now, there are a few places where this is being done, and I remember this being done in 2006 in Singapore, but it is also done in London, and goodness, there's a lot of places: Australia, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, South Korea, Singapore, of course, Sweden, Norway, and to some extent the United States. New York is talking about doing this in Manhattan. So this is a type of congestion pricing, and this is to pay. This is not to outlaw driving in a congestion area. That would be very, very difficult to do, although it has been done. Is to make people pay for the privilege of being there at the times that it is most congested to be there. Okay, so that's incentive-based solutions. And that is going to be it for this first section of this chapter.